Hi everyone. I'm going to do the labor and delivery story. I'm only going to talk about labor and delivery because I just tried to make this video and I tried to talk about what happened after labor and delivery and it got way too long. So I'm going to strictly talk about labor and delivery, and then on Wednesday I will do my first postpartum video. Wednesday I'll be 1 week postpartum. So I will do everything else after the labor and delivery and when I left the hospital on Wednesday. Today I would be 40 weeks pregnant. Isn't that something? Okay, so I'm going to start at the beginning. On the last pregnancy vlog that I did, I was 39 weeks pregnant, and I was telling you guys I had a date for a scheduled induction. By the way, I have the baby here, and I'm going to show her at the very end, but if you hear her, those noises, it's her. Anyway, I was telling you guys I had a scheduled induction for Friday, March 7th. And shortly after I made that video, maybe an hour after I made that video, the doctor's office called and told me that they were going to change the induction to Thursday at 6 a.m. And I'm so glad I didn't come in and make an update video, because they ended up calling me back shortly after that saying, no, we're going to go for Wednesday at 10 p.m., do it late night admit, and maybe have her on Thursday morning. So, but they're making all these changes because my sugar levels were going up, my blood pressure was rising, and they were just trying to get her delivered. The problem was the hospital was packed. I don't know what happened, but every pregnant woman in LA decided to deliver around the same time. L&D was packed, postpartum was packed, so they were just trying to fit me in. That's why they kept calling me. Okay, so that was that. So I was scheduled for an induction on Wednesday night at 10 p.m. Okay, so it's now going back to Tuesday. About Tuesday at about 11:30 at night, I was feeling crampy. Nothing irregular, not a contraction, but just kind of crampy. And the doctor had been asking me, have you been feeling cramps? And I kept saying, well, a little bit, I don't think nothing of it. So I started to feel that. And I had gotten a huge fight with my husband, so I was mad too, So I drifted off to sleep. I watched Netflix and then drifted off to sleep at about midnight, a little after midnight. And then at 1:59, my eye shot open from a contraction, like the real deal contraction. So I still laid down. I didn't get up or anything, because I thought, well, let me relax and see if this is really what it is. I haven't had a child in 18 years. Let me just make sure. So they continued to be like 10 to 12 minutes apart. I didn't wake up my husband. I just kind of labored on my own in the living room. Didn't have to make much noise. Could talk and kind of breathe through them. So I just kind of relaxed and just went with it. I downloaded a contraction timer, timed them, and all that stuff. And then at about 3, maybe a little after 3, I woke up my husband and said, I'm in labor. I'm going to take a shower. Because I wasn't ready to go to the hospital yet. And he's like, okay. So he gets up and gets ready, I guess. I don't know. I get in the shower. In the shower, they started to become more intense, maybe closer together. I couldn't time them in the shower, but I knew they were starting to get more intense, where I started to have to make a little noise to get through them. I got out of the shower, got dressed, laid on the couch, and they're starting to get more intense, and then I started timing them again, and they were about 6-7 minutes apart. And I started to moan to have to get through them. Now, my husband's hearing this, he panics and he's like, let's just go to the hospital, let's just go. And I'm like, no, because I don't want to be sent home. I don't want to be 1 to 2 and them tell me, oh, this is not it, go home. So I told my husband, it was a little after 3, so I said, we're going at 4, regardless, because I know I couldn't wait too much longer just because him being so anxious. So he's like, okay. So I continued to labor, continued to check them. And around about 4, they were a good 45 minutes apart, and I'm having to make noise. I could no longer talk through them. They were intense. So he packed the car up, drove the car around to the front, and I told him, let me have one more contraction, and I'm going to run to the car. So I had the contraction, and then I take off and run as quick as I can to the car, because in between contractions, you feel fine. So I grabbed a towel because my water hadn't broke, so I could sit on it on the way to the hospital. So we got to the hospital. I got notes here. We got to the hospital at about 4:15. We went in through the ER entrance because the main entrance was closed. They rushed us up to L&D. I'm contracting the whole time. 45. It feels like 45 minutes to me, but I don't know. I'm no longer checking. I'm no longer timing. Once I got to L&D, I had to fill out some paperwork, answer some questions from the nurses, still breathing in between, holding my husband's hand, yada yada. And then she checks me maybe about 4:20, 4:25, and she says, yep, you're 5 centimeters and 90% effaced. And I was so proud of myself that I didn't panic and go too early, and I didn't get sent home. And so with this pregnancy, I had no times where I went to the hospital and was sent back home. When I went there, I was in labor, and it was a real deal. So I was so happy. So she said, yep, you're going to be admitted. So we walked down to a labor and delivery room. And as we're walking, I'm telling the nurses, now you have the anesthesiologist right behind me because I know I'm going to need an epidural. I thought maybe I wouldn't, but once I hit 5 centimeters and they were already intense, I was like, oh no, bring on the anesthesiologist. So we get to the room, put me on the monitor, all that jazz. She's asking me 1,000 questions. Meanwhile, the anesthesiologist walks in, and he came in pretty quickly too. I didn't have to wait too long, so that was good. And then at this time, it was about 5 o'clock in the morning. He does my epidural, which made me comfortable almost instantly, which was amazing. I've always been nervous to get an epidural, but when that pain hit, the nerves went away. I was just like, come on, doc, I'm ready. I had one contraction. I said, let's do it. He did it. I felt a bee sting. They let my husband stay in the room with me because I thought, oh, God, they're going to make him leave, but they didn't. He gave me a bolus dose, which is like a long-acting dose, and I almost immediately I got comfortable. And then at 5:47, they came in to put in the catheter because you have to have a catheter while you have the epidural. And she checks me at 5:47, and I was 6 centimeters and 100% effaced. So at that point, we start calling family. I called my mom back at 4 o'clock in the morning. She's the only one that I called. I knew she'd be the only one who answered the phone, and she was. And then at 5 o'clock, shortly after 5 o'clock, after I had the epidural and I was comfortable, my husband started texting family, and I started calling other family. Some people answered, some people didn't. And then at 6:33, around 6:30, I told the nurse, I'm starting to feel pressure in my butt. Now, I didn't have pressure when I had my daughter in my butt, so I didn't know what that was. First I thought, oh, God, I have to go to the bathroom. Oh, my gosh. But she checks me, and she says, at 6:33, she checks me, and I was 100%. I mean, I was, 100% effaced and 10% fully dilated, ready to go. My water bag was still intact, so the baby's head was still floating up high. My doctor hadn't gotten there yet. There was an on-call doctor to deliver me, but I had preferred to be delivered by my doctor because she had seen me the entire time. And so I said, since I'm comfortable and I have an epidural, let's just labor down and wait for her to get there. This was at 6:30. She was doing it at about 7:30, so I knew I had about an hour's wait. But I had the type of epidural where I press the button every 20 minutes and give myself a dose. So, I didn't mind it. The only thing I felt was pressure, and the pressure was strictly in my butt at this point. I didn't feel anything else. So I would hit it every 20 minutes, and I was good. And then the doctor walked in at about 7:40, my doctor, and she breaks my water. It was clear fluid. That was good news. And then she says, okay, let's do a practice push since you have epidural. Let's see, because it's sometimes hard to push when you have epidural. Oops, excuse me. So I did a practice push, and she goes, okay, wait. We see the baby's head. And my husband's like, oh my God, she has hair, babe. And I was like, I told you she would have hair. I have bad heartburn. I told you it's true. And they're laughing at us because we're like going back and forth and we're talking. And so she said, okay, stop. So she gowns up. Nurses get ready. They call in the baby nurse. They call in another nurse for me. My husband gets by my head at this point because remember, my husband is squeamish. He doesn't want to see anything. So I give her, she goes, okay, so push again. So I pushed again. At this point, I felt the ring of fire. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you know, the pain started to kick in again. So they're counting 1, 2, 3, you know, bear down and push again. So I pushed again. And then I could feel her start to stretch me a little bit to try to avoid episiotomy. And it was really, really intense. And I'm like, oh my God. And I was like, can I push again? Can I push again? They're like, no, don't push. Well, I'm pushing anyway because I'm like, no way. I don't care. Cut me. Just get this kid out. So, oops, sorry. So my husband's down in the business now. Like he got comfortable at some point, and he's down there looking. He's like, "Oh my God, I see your head, babe. Oh my God, I can't believe it." I'm so proud of him because the whole time I thought he was never gonna look. So she said, "Go ahead and push again." So I pushed again, and her head comes out, and then she basically slid out after that. So that was like 3 pushes and done. She was out. They put her on my chest, and it was so emotional. I'm gonna cry right now. It was so wonderful. I cried. My husband cried. Hang on. She was just perfect. Anyway, they put her on my chest and they left her there. It was no hurry. That's what I love about that hospital. Like, they didn't take her right away. We got to do skin to skin and breastfeed, and it was just, I can't even tell you guys, it was just like the fantasy birth. The whole thing was 5 hours and 55 minutes from start to finish. For me, like, being worried this whole time, and because of how bad my daughter's birth was, it was just so perfect. It was just so freaking perfect, you guys. And all of you that said, don't worry, it'll be fine, you were absolutely right. It was just, it couldn't have gone any better. I was so blessed. She came out, she was so beautiful. She cried. She had an APGAR score of 9. It was wonderful. It was wonderful. So Miss London Marialis, that's her name. Somebody's asked me about how I spell it. I spell it London. I didn't change anything. Marialis is my husband's mother. It's my husband's side of the family. They haven't had a grandchild in 16 years, and so it was a real tribute to them. Not to take anything away from my family, but I did name my first daughter after my mother. And so, you know, we thought it would be really special for, you know, London to be named after his mother. So it was fabulous. She weighed 7 pounds 4 ounces. She was 20 inches long. She had a head circumference of 13. And she's just fabulous. So that's the story of London. I'm going to show you her because this video is getting longer than I intended. So let me show you her. And I did do a quick video in the hospital, the She's Here video, and I showed her just a glimpse of her. You couldn't really see much, but let me try to get her out of here, out of the seat here. Sorry, I'm crying like a big old baby, like a big old London. Her name is London, but we call her Lolo. I call her the Lolo monster. Here she is, everybody. She's yawning because she's tired. She's always tired. She does nothing but sleep. Oh, don't make that face at the people. Say hi, YouTube. They've been watching you since before you were born. Back when you were just a hope. There she is. She got some hair on her. Okay, sweetie pie. So, on Wednesday, we will be 1 week postpartum, and I will come and talk about everything that's happened since the birth and how we're doing now. And I know you guys have commented a lot on the She's Here video and Facebook. And oh, by the way, if you're on Facebook, then you've seen already a million pictures of her. I put up a lot of pictures, and I'm going to continue to put up pictures. I hope I don't clog your timeline too much. But I'm just sad because we didn't get the actual birth on video because we were expecting to be induced. So my sister was coming and it was scheduled. But in the end, she came on her own and we couldn't film anything. So I'm so bummed about that, but it is what it is. What can I do? I didn't expect it. Yeah, so I'll come back and do the postpartum video, and I have seen all the messages. I haven't been able to respond much with being in the hospital and now taking care of a baby, but I do appreciate all the messages and the well wishes and all that stuff, and all of you that's been with me all this time and the new people. Thank you so much. You guys have been my cheerleaders. I appreciate it. I'm going to cry again, but no, I'm not, because I'm going to stop this video, and I will see you guys on Wednesday.